So the other day I was talking to the Lord, right? And I was telling him amongst other things, but my relationship with my husband always comes up in conversation with God because I always have something to say to him about my situation. And I was telling God, I was like, Lord, I was like, I don't feel like my husband loves me for real, right? I was like, he says it. And sometimes his actions will show that, right? But for the most part, I was like, I'm just here. Like, I'm just living and breathing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't feel like he loves me sometimes, even though he says he does. And the Lord says, in all his magnificence, right? Did I say that correctly? Anyway, he said, and who does that remind you of? Because let me tell y'all something. One thing about God, he is not going to coddle you. If you are going to the Lord about anything, right? Anything that you're venting to him about, it could be related to your relationship, your job, your friendships, your parents, whatever. Anything you're talking to God about, but you're talking about how you're feeling about the other person or things that God is always going to shift your mindset. Okay. God is always going to bring things to light within you that he needs you to understand about the situation or whatever. But God is not going to coddle you. Okay. This has happened to me a plethora of times. One time I was talking to the Lord about my husband and how he games, right? I was like, Lord, you know what I'm saying? He's on the game like all the time, right? I feel like I'm on the back burner. I feel like I'm not a priority sometimes, like, and God goes, how do you think I feel? Okay. Another time I'm sitting there, I'm mad at my husband, right? And the Lord's talking to me. I was washing dishes, right? And he goes, why are you mad? My dumb behind goes, I'm not mad. Okay. And the Lord's like, you can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me, right? So I tell him my husband got snappy with me. I don't like that. It annoys me. It frustrates me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm ticked off about it. And God goes, do you not get snappy with him too? Do you not get snappy with him too? The only difference is when you get snappy with him and you apologize, he accepts it, right? He receives it. We move forward. But when he gets snappy with you, even when he apologizes, you don't accept it or receive it. You want to stay stuck being mad at him. Another time I was telling the Lord how something wasn't fair, how I didn't deserve this, right? You know what God told me? Did I deserve to die on the cross? Did I deserve to be mocked, spit on, ridiculed, whipped, and hung on a cross? So yeah, when I tell y'all, the Lord does not coddle you. The Lord, he will open, he especially if your heart is open to receiving knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from him, he is going to shift your mindset to help you see the bigger picture, okay? This marriage journey, and no matter what your situation looks like, okay, in some way, shape, or form, is going to resemble Hosea and Gomer, okay? Now, y'all, if you're not familiar with the story of Hosea, go read it. It's like 4 freaking chapters, okay? But God told Hosea to marry Gomer. In that same breath, he told Hosea that Gomer was going to be, for lack of better terms, a lady of the streets, okay? She was going to be a prostitute. She was going to be everybody's man in addition to yours. You will have children with her, right? And then you will go and get her back and you will love her, okay? And God used the marriage of Hosea and Gomer to basically show his relationship with us, right? Like him being Hosea and us being Gomer. Because for y'all, to be honest with you, we are for the streets, right? You know what I'm saying? God is altogether perfect, altogether holy, all the time, bro. We sin knowingly and unknowingly, okay? So we've cheated on God. We've done a lot of things that goes against him, right? But yet he still receives us. He still loves us. He still wants a relationship with us. That is yet a perfect example of what I was talking about the other day when I said that, anytime somebody says God wouldn't do this or God wouldn't do this or whatever, like I shut my mouth, because the story of Hosea is the perfect example of this. Like him telling this man, marry her, even though she's going to do you wrong. So when God asked me, and who does this remind you of, right? Not only was he necessarily talking about me, but he's talking about the church as a body, right? Okay, so when he was telling me this, he at the same time he's telling me this, the verse Isaiah 29:13, I think is what it was, started to like download into me. And so the Lord says, these people say they are mine, right? They honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And their worship of me is nothing but man-made rules learned by rote. See, God wasn't telling me this to condemn me, right? He was bringing it to light because he wants to draw us near, like into more intimacy with him, right? So he will bring things to light, but not to condemn you, but to convict you. And I'm telling you, I felt the conviction, because here's the thing, y'all. And listen, there's no, you don't have to strive for your relationship with God, okay? But you do have to freaking show up, all right? So I don't want you to think that God's up there with a checklist going, oh, well, they only read, 15 minutes of their word. They only said one prayer today. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's not like that. But when you're not putting in effort in your relationship with Christ, but yet you're demanding effort from your spouse. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what God was telling me. Like we are so, oh, they got to do this, they got to do that. Why, all this other stuff with your person, but yet God, who is waiting for us all the time because he loves to spend time with us, bro. He wants to hear from you. He wants to talk to you, all these things, but we barely give him the time of day. If we're being honest, okay? We don't give him enough time. We're like, all right, well, I'll carve out 45 minutes of my whole entire 24-hour day, right? That's why God be waking you up at 3 o'clock in the freaking morning, because he wants to talk to you, because he has things he needs to tell you, and you are so distracted all the time throughout the day that you're not making time for him. But yet you have all these demands on your spouse. Ha! All these demands on your spouse in the relationship with them, but you don't want to put in any forth effort into your relationship with God, which is the only relationship that really matters. Okay, God will work into your marriage. He will convict your person's heart. He'll convict you. You know what I'm saying? God will soften hearts, renew minds, so on and so forth. God will do it. That's why I always tell people, you need to seek God on everything. Keep God in the center of everything. But even in your marriages, please keep God as the center of everything. I tell y'all, I go to God so much about my husband, about my relationship, right? I really do. And because I can't say nothing to my husband. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it to God, and God can let him know. I tell people God does not validate your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Satan will 100% validate your feelings, okay? But God doesn't, right? That doesn't mean that God doesn't care. And I've mentioned this before. God definitely cares, okay? He is close to the brokenhearted. He counts your tears. He sees you. He hears you. He loves you. He knows, and he will rectify the situation. But he will not validate your feelings, because if he validates your feelings, next thing you know, what I tell y'all before, it all starts with a thought. If you don't take them thoughts captive and give them to God, they're going to travel down to your heart. What does Proverbs 4:23 tell us? To guard our heart, because why? Out of it flows the course of life. If you don't take them thoughts captive and you let them travel down to your heart, where your emotions start to magnify and Satan starts to feed into your emotions, you're going to react out of your flesh instead of out of the spirit. That's why I'm always grateful when God does that, right? He shifts my mindset to look at it differently, okay? And then I'm like, you know what, Lord? Like I was saying, you're right. So let me go ahead and fix this on my end, my relationship with you, and he handles your spouse.